I think one thing they probably could do is maybe bring forward some of the deadlines. I know in UCL Fantasy it's at the first game
It is a
because
UCL fantasy.
I know a lot of people will be like stressing out about early team news. Obviously, there's kind of been the thing on Twitter where like the FPL cartel are hiding back information from certain players and stuff like that. But I think that would probably take a lot of stress out of a lot of people's decisions. If you can see the teams up until the deadline, then that's fine. Like you're probably going to get more information. You can make better decisions, and I think because sometimes we do get into these positions where we'll get a leak. It might be wrong. It might be right. And people will probably make the wrong decision a lot of the time and lose their heads a little bit. I think another one is probably player prices. I think this year they've been nuts. And I think FPL need to be clearer on when a player is going to rise and when a player is going to fall. Because at the moment, it's wishy-washy, made-up logic.
I think price changes don't help.
I agree.
Like the constant pressure of I need to make a decision, otherwise I'm going to be priced out, or everybody else is moving on this player, they'll have 0.1 more team value than me. I'd like to see if, as one of the changes, FPL basically say while the game week is going on from Saturday morning to Sunday night, or if there's a Monday night game, then a Monday, there will be no price changes, because we want people to make informed decisions, not stupid decisions, making transfers on a Saturday night before their Sunday players have even played, because they're on a tilt from their captain blank on a Saturday.
Sorry, Pras,
it just doesn't happen.
Guys, do you do that? Are you one of the people that will look at FPL statistics like at 10 o'clock at night? Or...
Depends. So I do tend to look at FPL. Well, now it's live FPL. They have a great predictor. And so I do tend to look at them, but I rarely react to price changes unless I have the luxury of many free transfers or I'm getting priced out. Otherwise, I'm an advocate of just wait for more information. Information generally sometimes changes the path anyway. Today, you want to buy a certain player, but another player gets injured. Let's say Robertson, then Simicast becomes an amazing pick instead. So why did you pick another guy? So it's not about just any player getting injured in your team. It's about anything could change over the week, which would change information. So in a way, it helps me that people go early, they regret their moves, or they make their moves absent information. And so I can then react later. Not that I don't make early moves. I have made some, but I tend to do them very cautiously. Like I know when I know there's a buffer, I have some extra transfers and things like that. But coming back to your question on mental health, I just think the pricing doesn't help from that element. Like that pressure of not having a bad week and then also trying to react and try to make decisions about your own team, it makes things worse. So I think that would be one change I would recommend.
I think they could completely overhaul the price changes so that they're not based on the amount of people that buy and selling them, because at the moment you kind of feel forced to buy players because their prices are going to go up or down just because of idiots that are like making irrational transfers on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And it's affecting the prices.
Yeah.
I mean, I play the rugby league one in Australia, and their price changes are all based on performances. You know, if a player does well at the weekend,
that's a good idea.
What happens is while the games are on, you can't make transfers in that one. Like you're locked out of making transfers once the game week starts. And then the game week reopens. It reopens with the new prices.
That's a really good idea, yeah.
So then you come back, then it's open again. So you can't make any transfers while the games are on. And then the players that scored or whatever get a little price rise, and the ones that were useless get a price drop. And then the game opens up again, and you've got a week to make your transfer at the same price, at the new price.
The thing that annoys me about the changes in midweek is the lack of transparency over when they're going to happen. So I would be able to get on board with, I think in a perfect world, your version would be correct, where we almost don't have them during the week and they lock in at a specific moment and we know what's coming. But a sort of halfway point, compromise would be, okay, we still have daily price changes at a set time, but we know 2, 3 hours, 4 hours in advance who they're going to be. And FPL tell us who is going up and who is going down. And I think that transparency would help people with their mental health, because it removes the doubt and the worry and the anxiety from the decision making. Like so many times over recent seasons, I've gone to bed thinking, do I need to just quickly check the price changes just before? Am I going to get locked out?
It's needless, isn't it?
It's so annoying, and look, don't get me wrong. I love thinking about FPL during the midweek as much as anyone else, and I do a lot of my research and a lot of my planning through the week. But the thing that does annoy me is that lack of knowing for sure whether something is or isn't going to happen that evening, and it might make you feel like you're under this imaginary pressure of I need to move tonight in case it happens. And then the price change doesn't even occur in the first place. So all of that worry, stress, anxiety was for no reason whatsoever. So I think that's one thing they could change.
The first thing, the simplest change they could do is to add on the website a button that lets you hide the rankings. Set it in the preferences to show/hide rankings. And then if you press hide, you don't see any overall rankings. You don't see anything except your team and your score for that game week, and maybe your overall score. You don't see any arrows. You don't see any mini league rankings. You don't see any overall rankings. All you see is your team and your scores. And then if you are struggling because of the rankings and they are getting you down, you can just hide them for a few weeks and then focus only on your team.
It could be more specific than that, because you could have a button to like hide your overall rank but still be able to see your mini league or vice versa.
Yeah, exactly. But, and something like that for me, they could probably put that on the website in about half an hour. If they had the technical know-how, which I don't, so maybe I'm speaking out of turn there, but it doesn't seem like a hard thing to...
You'd think, wouldn't you?
Well, you can... How easy is it to hide someone on Twitter or on Blue Sky? It's, mute a conversation, let us mute our overall rankings, or hit the snooze button for a month or something. You know, I think that would make a big difference to a lot of people, and it's something very simple to implement. Another thing I don't like is when the official site and some of the bigger kind of websites, when they do the kind of like banter posts.
You give me an example, mate.
Like, say you've captained Cole Palmer and he's got 2 points, or Haaland and he's got 2 points, and then Mo Salah's going to hit 25 points. And then you turn on your social media and the official site said, hold your hands up if you're one of the 95% of people who captained Salah for his 50 points, or if you're one of the 5% of people that aren't captaining him, why aren't you captaining him?
The 5% of the losers.
Why do the Premier League do posts which are just going to bait people into feeling crap? I completely agree with that. And when I was listening to that, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I think. It's just ridiculous. Were you one of the 3.9 million people to triple captain Salah? Well, no, I wasn't, and I had a shit week. Thanks, FPL. Like, you made me feel great about my weekend. So yeah, I think they could be a bit more considerate, but then they're looking for clicks, aren't they, and engagement and stuff. So yeah, that's one thing. I think it's difficult for them a lot of the time to know where they sit, because I don't think they really realise how passionate the community is. I don't think they really truly, like the big heads at the Premier League, do they really know how obsessional people are about this game? I'm not totally sure they do. I think what they could do to ease people's suffering and pain is just really, it's like sort out stuff with the game that pisses people off, because that is in their control. I'm talking assists mainly. I think the way assists are done at the moment is just so stupid. And
why does it take them so long to figure out whether or not they're going to give player A the assist?
Because they've got a subjective rule which is around intended target. So if a player crosses a ball and it takes a deflection from someone, they scrutinise it in kind of as much detail as they can.
I think they already have started doing that, and I think a big thing that they did that did this was putting things like XG on their website.
Okay.
Because
you think that
particularly
helps with mental health?
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you look at your player and you see, oh, they haven't scored very well, but then you can have a look at their XG and said, oh, they actually got quite a lot of XG.
That's true.
I think that's quite soothing in a way. So you could think, okay, I gave it a really good go. I was just unfortunate, and I have the evidence here that I was unfortunate.
See, I think you're definitely a glass half full guy, because I would look at that and say, fucking hell, we should have scored. I don't know. But yeah, I get what you mean. So more information, I guess.
Yeah, and I think more transparency as well. Something I know impacts people is the price changes in FPL. I think if price changes were more transparent, I think that would lead to less frustration from a lot of people there as well.
I think one of the biggest things I would say that people see that affects them is red arrows and green arrows and things like that. I think the ability to maybe hide the red arrows or hide the leagues that you haven't done well in that week, and then you can open them up if you want to, stuff like that maybe. It's tough, isn't it? Because it's a competitive thing. So people want to know they're doing well, and obviously there are times where you're not going to do so well. But I think that big red arrow, especially when you've got like an international break or something, you've got 2 weeks just staring at that red arrow. The ability to maybe take that away might be quite nice. So maybe just the
representation.
Yeah, just the ability to maybe take them off if you want to. So, literally just a little tick box that says, do you want to see these or not? Because actually, you don't have to have those arrows on your ranks. When you're looking at your leagues, you could just say, this is your position, and that's it potentially. So that might be a solution.
I don't know if there's much FPL for me. I think having readily available stuff on their websites to give advice, like have me write an article on their website or someone that knows what they're talking about from a psychological perspective, and then have that available to people, have the discussion raised. I think it's more like Fantasy Football Scout, Hub, Live, whoever you use. I think there should be a big warning on there that says, do you really need to check your live rank? They're not going to do that because that's what earns them the money, right? It's a tool.
Including so not on FPL itself. That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
Not on FPL. I think on the websites where you check your live rank, just have a little thing which hides it and says, I want to see my live rank. And maybe just like a little pop. They're never going to do that because, again, they're losing money by having people not use their features. But I think that really would help. I also think, I've always wondered this, should there be a way on the actual FPL site to just hide your rank? Because I can't remember who it was. I'd love to remember who it was, but there was someone in the FPL community that went an entire season somehow without checking their rank. So all they did was they loaded up the app. Because on the app, actually, your rank doesn't show over. They load up the app.
I always hear Gianni sometimes saying that he's not checked his overall rank for 10
I think that's probably a lie, to be fair. But there was actually someone that genuinely didn't check their rank at all for the entire season. And they just went onto the transfers page, made their transfers, did their team each week, and just tried to get the most points possible. And they finished really well. But they also said that they enjoyed their season so much more. Wow. And I wonder, could there be a way that FPL could just allow you to just click hide rank? And then if you want to see it again, just click show rank. But it would allow people that maybe hyperfixate on the rank element. Because the thing is, FPL is not about the rank, right? FPL is about having fun with a game that is linked to the Premier League. Yeah. The rank is supposed to just be like an objective way to say, oh, this is how you did, by the way. But we've become so hyperfixated on top 50K, top 10K. And I feel like we've lost sight of what the game's actually about. So I think rank is at the heart of half the issues that we face each week is like red arrow, green arrow. What's my overall rank? How much have I lost? It's not about now picking players that you want to own in FPL.
And I think as much as possible, removing luck out of the equation will help people just be more, first of all, more engaged, and second, more positive about it. For example, I play UCL Fantasy, and there is a feature in the game where between days, so UCL is on Tuesday and Wednesday, and between Tuesday and Wednesday, you can make subs from your team. So players that didn't perform on Tuesday, you can take them out and replace them with players that play on Wednesday. I think that is the one thing, if I'm willing to take anything from any other game, is going to be this.
Quick one. How about 5 free transfers or 5 extra free transfers that you can use at any point during the season, that you can use after the deadline until the game is kicked off? Ooh. So let's say, I don't want to change the time in which the deadline goes because I think there's a load of problems that come whatever way you do it. But how about 5, a bit like if you watch cricket or tennis, actually, you've got your Hawkeye. And so it's kind of the umpire will get told by the captain of the team, like, I'm not sure about that one. Could you check that upstairs? It's a bit like that. Like after the deadline's gone, I kind of a free get out of jail free card saying, okay, I've just heard after the deadline Gakpo's injured. Before he's played, and obviously switching to another player that hasn't yet played has to be the case. But 5 times a season, something like that, maybe once or twice would be fine, where you can make that swap knowing that it kind of like removes that issue from your side. I think that would be quite a nice little addition, but it's obviously quite difficult to code. So I understand that it might not.
So I was going to say I really like that one because I asked this question. I've actually thought of removing this question from the interviews because a lot of the answers are the same. But then when you said that, when I thought about it, surely it would just be moved. Couldn't they just move the deadline to kick off if they were going to do that?
They could, but then it only works if all the kickoffs are at the same time. Because you're always going to get early.
Oh, so you can do it through the entire game week?
Yeah, so you can
right, okay, I really like
you can do it through the game week until the teams. So the same way the Euros one. I don't know if you played the Euros fantasy, but basically you can make substitutions until the game that the player is involved in has kicked off.
Right, so most some fantasy footballs is gambling, and some isn't. FPL's not gambling as such, but it's the same mentality, the same mental health protections need to be there. So when in gambling websites or firms say that terrible, when the fun stops, stop. Yeah, right. But yeah, why? So why, person, we have molded it into a gambling addict over years. Hey, when the fun stops, stop. But I've lost my home. And but there should be an element of that when the fun stops, stop.
Should we have an FPL responsibly?
Yeah. Yeah. To say, look, this is a fun game. Lots of people love it. You'll enjoy it. But if you're not enjoying it, close the screen.
Yeah.
Step away. Go and walk the dog. Listen to a good album. Something like that. Message like that needs to be there rather than saying, keep looking at the site, keep looking at the site. So there needs to be an awareness of that, I think, within all content, whether that be from the official sites, official games or whatever.